fan. Hold on. I'm about to show you this shit that I just found. This, man. I don't feel like I'm overreacting. I feel like this shit is crazy. I feel like a conspiracy theorist, but it ain't no theory. Because I'm about to show you a video. It's not a fucking theory. It's crazy. Hold on. I'm still fucking reeling. Like, I'm coming down from this information. Hold on. I'm about to show you. Let me just get in this half. Damn, I'm gonna take 2 hands to open the door. Hold on. Watch this. Malaric.
Excuse me, on the left over here.
In a quarter mile, slight right to stay on Black Canyon Access Road.
Religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics. And this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here.
I'm gonna let you listen to this first. Now I gotta cut in a little bit to follow some of the YouTube guidelines, but I didn't know what I was about to hear when I clicked on this, and I thought I was about to click on something completely different because I've been doing research in the area, but I'm shaking right now about what I just heard. So I'm gonna let you hear it, and then I'm gonna ask you if what I think I heard is what you heard too. Hold on. This is a video on YouTube that I will link in the description below. It's called Pentagon Briefing on Removing the God Gene, Funvax. And it's on a channel called Construct with 2 U's. UUCT. I'm at a really long light too. Bless me. All right.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics. And this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach. What you see
here is by studying this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from dying on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have 2 brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are 2 different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious. And
I'm
when
hoping
they're
you can hear
read
this.
a
I'm
religious
gonna check in a
text,
minute to make
what you
sure.
see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm
Did you hear
presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene.
This is when my attention was picked up, because when I heard Afghanistan, you know, the first thing I thought I was hearing was, I mean, sometimes it sounded like a parody because it was so blatant, and I sure hope you could hear it. I'm gonna play it again now to make sure. But I got my attention was piqued when I heard Afghanistan, because at first I was like, what? How are they going to use this data? You know, and if you can hear it, then you hear them talking about examining two different brains, one of a person who identifies as religious or, you know, what they would call extremist or fanatical. Now, mind you, this is the Pentagon presenting this information. The other brain was someone who probably they consider what they said normal. That's the word they use. So someone who's not religious, someone who doesn't have any strong religious opinions or take any religious actions. I was like, well, you know, they said that, you know, there's a gene in some people based on what you've been presented so far. There's a gene in some people that turns like neurons in their brain on or triggers them in such a way when religious text or, you know, spiritual whatever is presented to them, and then some people don't have that response. And I was like, okay, good to know. What are we gonna do with that information? So that's what you're hearing so far. Let me let it play off, and then I'm gonna check and see if you can hear it. Hold on. Okay, so you can hear it. I went back and checked, so it sounds good. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it continue so that you can continue to hear what I heard. And I'll tell you when my jaw really started dropping. Hold on. I mean, somebody gonna say this is common knowledge, but I sure had no idea this was going on. Hold on.
Gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present plan.
So we've already established, based on this presentation at the Pentagon, that they have found that there is a gene in some people that makes them more religious than others, more triggered by, you know, religious scriptures or whatever in their environment than others. They've decided that, and they've decided that they're going to use this information in Afghanistan with the people in Afghanistan. Now, when was this video posted? April of 2012. Okay, so it's not current. It's literally 10 years old. When nobody was really talking about Afghanistan for real. Because, shit, the war was like 10 years old at that point. And it wasn't really news. So we've understood, based on what we've heard so far, that the Pentagon has found there is a gene. And they want to find a way to neutralize it in the people in Afghanistan. I'll play it again in a minute after this all plays out so we can hear that together again. Now, the question that came from the audience is, how do you decide? There were other questions, but this most important question is, how do you decide how to distribute what's going to neutralize the people? And I just want to play that.
The tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way.
Man, this is where my jaw dropped. I said, wait a minute, Because I understand very well. I'm an extremely brilliant person. My cognitive skills are on point. It don't take much for me to understand. I'm real keen. So I know what I heard. This man just said they're going to distribute this neutralization of religious fanaticism through respiratory viruses like a flu. This was in 2012.
To get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses. And we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
Okay, so let me tell you, what I was looking for was information about when the God gene was actually put in humanity. That's a whole nother conversation for maybe even a whole different audience. But this was the first video I found when I researched. I just used YouTube because it's sometimes a great source. And there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, obviously. So I just searched delete the worship gene in DNA, right? Just looking to see what's in there. I thought maybe there was some scientific information or maybe even some subliminals. This was the very first video. Like the first thing is an advertisement. And then this was the very, I don't want to see that.
I've been using the Shaper candy from Shaper Mint.
And then the second thing is this video. Now, if you know how YouTube works, they decide what videos show up first. So this isn't being kept a secret. And I'm going to play it again. And I'm not going to say nothing this time. So you can hear it. And then you tell me if I hear it. You tell me if you hear that there are viruses and flus and respiratory illnesses that are released into the environment to socially engineer people. Now, this one happens to be talking about a vaccine against religious fundamentalism or extremism. But what else could there be? Let me go ahead and
hypothesis
play it again.
For the development. Excuse me. On the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamental.
Prophet lives by the axiom.
So let me just stop for a second because I want you to know the question that was what was mentioned in the
Cuando
audience.
éramos una compañía de motocicletas.
He said, the man was talking, the man you can hear most clearly in the foreground. And in the background, you heard somebody who said, oh, they got another cat. What? They said, it was a man who said, excuse me, I don't want to poke holes in your theory.
For the development of this approach.
He said, I don't want to poke holes in your theory. He was about to interrupt the speaker. And the speaker said, wait, let me complete. So that's what you heard. Not really significant. Hold on. Oh, let me read you this description too. It says, thanks to Joey Lombardi, the man responsible for leaking this video, he was set up on charges and imprisoned. Please research this topic in Lombardi's own words. Oh God, I done gone down a damn rabbit hole, Jesus. Yeah, bullshit. He says, I was on this assignment that seemed really bizarre. This is the words of Joey Lombardi. I was on this assignment that seemed really bizarre. It just didn't make any sense, you know? I was told that I was to document a war hero's return home from Iraq. That was it. Simple, right? But the normal chain of command was altered. In this case, the first time in 6 years, I was to report to a CIA named a CIA-named Agent Fleming, as well as Army Colonel Harris, who, from what I gather, was a big-wig intel guy at the Pentagon. So that was weird, especially for such a boring assignment. It got weirder when I was mailed a package that contained a DVD and a stack of documents. There were a lot of things blacked out, but it was all stuff related to FunVax. The package was addressed to me. It was sent to the house where I was, videotaping the family that I was documenting. So he was obviously documenting the family and received this package in the mail addressed to him. There were 2 videos, actually. One looked like a homemade amateur video that was a party in a common area, like a lunchroom or something. There was a cake that said, FunVax is a go. If you go to the video that I mentioned that I'm going to link in the description and look in the description of the video that I'm linking in this description, you will see every single thing that I'm saying. I'm reading it verbatim. It said, the cake said, FunVax is a go on it. And there was a sign that said, congratulations, FunVax. FunVax. Capital F, capital V. But that was all the FunVax related information. Excuse me. It was just a normal party that people were talking about normal things. The second video was a lot more informative. It was a DOD footage from a lecture hall in the Pentagon. The video was date stamped 4/13/05. Now this video was posted in 2012, 10 years after the whatever they call it now, Operation Kill Afghanistanians and Get All the Oil. I don't know what it was called, I forget now. But this video that this man is referring to, Joey Lombardi is referring to, was date stamped 4/13/05. So the video was 6 or 7 years old by the time he got it. And that was like 2 years after the war started or was announced. I'm going to go back to what he said. The video was date stamped 4/13/05, so someone was holding on to this for a while. I received it the second week of February of this year. Now, I'm assuming this person, I don't know when this was written. So on it, it had one of the guys from the other video, the party video, giving a presentation. I just have an 8-minute clip from this presentation. And this video that was posted has a timestamp of 4/13/05 on it. And 9 minutes, 9 seconds. I'm sorry. Wow. It says 9:19:12, which in my world means 9 hours, 19 minutes, and 12 seconds, which means this was 8 minutes of this full video. But basically, this is a guy, he must be a scientist. This guy is giving a lecture about the brain and a gene called VMAT2. V is in Victor, MAT2, to a group of men in suits as well as various military uniforms. He talks about, ooh, I like that cord. That's so pretty. I love it. I like it. I think that's my new neighbor. Ooh, that's pretty. Anyway, he talks about religion and was showing MRI brain scans. He said that the inhibition of VMAT2 could, over time, listen very closely, I'm reading this for the very first time. He talks about religion and was showing MRI brain scans. He said that the inhibition of VMAT2. Now, mind you, VMAT2, I'm going to go back to what he said earlier. This guy is giving a lecture about the brain and a gene called VMAT2. Hold on one second. I love your car. It's beautiful. You're welcome. You said what? Well, it's a dusty place we live in, but it's gorgeous. Have a good one. Sorry. This guy was giving a lecture about the brain and a gene called VMAT2 to a group of men in suits as well as various military uniforms. He talks about religion. And was showing MRI brain scans, which you'll see if you go to the video. He said that the inhibition of VMAT2 could over time cause a person's brain to shift from a religious brain structure. They scientifically, they call it phenotype. But basically, you can change a religious brain to a non-religious brain structure. Well, I mean, that means that there obviously was a change that created the God gene. I mean, that kind of answers the question I originally was looking to answer, which is a whole different conversation. But that does answer that question. Good. So if you can remove it, that means you could have added it at some point too. VMAT2 is apparently, let me just see how far this goes, okay. VMAT2 is apparently the scientific name for what people term the God gene. At the end of the clip, he says that he filed a proposal under the name Funvax to begin experimenting with VMAT2 gene with the goal of creating a virus like the flu virus that will remove or replace this gene from people in the Middle East. Their goal, of course, was to create peace in the Middle East. So I did hear correctly. This description and every single thing I just read told me that what I first thought I heard that had my jaw dropping and had me focus on the road a little bit harder, and then I had to come and bring it to whoever's listening right now. Okay, so now I'm going to play the video again. And there's a transcript in the description so you can read along as well. And I'm going to do that too. Oh, I'm going to continue to play the video. And I'm going to let you know what's in the background. Because there was a couple things said in the background that were kind of informational. And I think that they may have been coming from military personnel. They're taking this shit seriously. I thought this was like a spoof. As someone, I was like, wait a minute, this got to be a spoof. But no, it's not.
RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach. What you see
here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis.
So just in case you didn't hear that, the person in the background said, so what you're suggesting is that by releasing this virus, we're going to prevent people from putting on a bulletproof vest and going in the market and putting bullets in other people's heads and blowing themselves up too.
Is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very...
They have an overexpression of the VMAT2 gene. Overexpression. God, this is such a whole different conversation. Because I came into this information looking for some answers, and I'm finding the answers through what's not being said here. I literally have been looking to find out if there was a God gene that has been placed in certain groups of people to make them more religious so that they be more subservient to dominant societies. And if you can remove that gene from a group of people, that means that at some point it probably was placed there. That was the answer that I needed that's not being said. But then it opens up a whole nother can of worms about social engineering. OMG.
Very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So
He said, so would you suggest that I take a CT scan into the field with me to examine people before I place a bullet in their head? Now, this had to come from someone military with the immediate mindset of murder. So this is one of the government paid murderers, right? Whatever that whole other conversation is too. He said, so would you suggest, and he being cynical, but he's saying like, so before I kill somebody, should I examine their brain? Because I'm really here to kill. But anyway, that was what he said. So do you suggest that I take a CT scan into the field with me to examine somebody before I put a bullet in their head? Those were his words.
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major...
It's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. Who created the fanatic?
effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present...
So the question is, how do you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? Using an aerosol? Like a ch-ch-ch? I mean, that seems evil enough. But no, that's not the suggestion.
Plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's
respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, rhinonasal viruses. That's the plan, to release it through a respiratory But how do you get away with that? If you just attack the Afghanistani people, won't the world notice that just those people are getting sick? Unless everybody gets sick. It's almost over, y'all.
satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses. And we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project...
Let me catch the first part of that question.
Of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses. And we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name.
I'm sure you can hear the second part, but I couldn't understand what he said the first time. Let me see if I can see it in the transcript. The second part of the question was, what's the name of this proposal, which we know now is Funvax. How sinister is that, man? Funvax. He just said, approach this vestige. What's the name of this proposal? That's it. So I don't know what that meant. But what's the name?
This project is Funvax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
Now notice one man asks, what's the name of this proposal? He answers, this project is, and the other man says, so you have a proposal already? So what that means is this is no longer a proposal. Nigga said, so what's the name of this idea? Nigga said, this ain't no motherfucking idea. This shit is in the works, bitch. Nigga said, wait a minute. So you already passed the idea stage and you bringing us something you already doing? It wasn't ever on the news, though.
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
He said the proposal has just been submitted, which means, nigga, I just gave it to you. I just told you what you needed to know. Please believe this is where we going. You ain't gonna get a whole lot of this out of me, cause man, this a rabbit hole. I go down by myself. I don't try to take a lot of people down here with me, cause it gets crazy. But I just had to share this with somebody, cause I was like, God damn, what do I do with this information? God damn. And apparently, so was the guy who made the video, who shared it with the person who shared it with me, who shared it with you. God damn.
Oh, 1 mile in fog patches and showers early Friday, but improving to greater than 6 miles on Friday morning.
Stars shine.